Okay, so now I'm going to tell you about the day she passed. Well, the day leading up to her passing. Um, she was staying with another woman, one of her ex-boyfriend's moms. Um, Her ex-boyfriend was in jail for something, I don't know what, at the time. Um, but it was my understanding that she was doing good as far as not using, according to the lady who she was staying with. My daughter got up with a lady that she used to hang out with, um, and set up with the lady's son to come and pick her up and take her to Chadburn to buy a $20 bag of cocaine. When she left the lady's house, I was told that she was straight and narrow, was not taking anything, and had not been on anything. Um, and this is going to be kind of a long story. I'm probably going to have to break this down into two parts. But anyway, so the son came and picked my daughter up from where she was staying at. Took her to Chadburn, buy a $20 bag of cocaine for her and for her friend. They both had the same exact cocaine. Came from the same exact dealer. So anyway, they got back to her friend's house. Not long after she was back, it wasn't long before the incident transpired. I don't even think she had a chance to do the $20 bag of cocaine. Her friend's daughter that she was over there hanging out with, has stole from the mother. Money, pills, you name it. And I heard that what happened was that she was trying to blame my daughter for stealing from her friend, which my daughter was a lot of things, but I've never known her to steal. And this is not the first time this girl has done this and blamed it on someone else. So the daughter had showed up at the mother's house where my daughter was at with her boyfriend and another girl. Well, I believe that my daughter was murdered because, first of all, no $20 bag of cocaine has ever killed anyone. Her heart was strong. What actually killed her was they waited so long to call the ambulance because they was moving their vehicles around, hiding their drugs. The daughter and her friends had left the scene. It's just a really long story. But by the time the ambulance had got there, they was able to resuscitate her. But because of her being out for so long, you know, I guess it injured her brain, is what they stated. And so she was in a coma. Now, she had injuries on her that was never investigated by the police. I even still, to this day, have a recording. I'm not sure if I can or how I can upload this recording that came from the daughter's friend that was with her at the house that night, that told me that a fight did occur, that she heard screaming, hollering, and yelling. And when the ambulance picked up my daughter, the only strange thing, my daughter's clothes, when I went to the hospital to get my daughter's belongings, her clothes was missing. No clothing that she had on that night. In other words, to be checked, tested for blood, whatever. She had a big knot on her head, for one. Now, me knowing my daughter as good as I do, she was a fighter. She was strong. And it took more than one person to take her down. And I'm going to tell you what I got back from the hospital. This knife right here was found laying next to my daughter's body. It was my daughter's knife. Now that tells me that she was trying to defend herself. Otherwise, why was this knife? Oh, and her pocketbook was also stolen and taken by the woman's daughter. It was, the hospital did not have it. It was nowheres around. My son-in-law had to finally get it back. But anyway, I am going to give you lots of other stories as far as her bringing up her, my past life with her father, all that. But ultimately what killed her was them hiding the drugs, moving the vehicles before calling for help. Her heart was strong, and that's why I say her heart knocked off. But why? It wasn't the $20 worth of cocaine. Anybody that knows anything about drugs at all knows that $20 worth of cocaine. And the older woman, who was 10 years older than my daughter that she was hanging out with, did the same exact cocaine, had the same amount. And she was real sickly. My daughter was healthy. And she didn't die. But there's a long story behind that. And I will have to tell you about, these worthless cops in Columbus County, North Carolina, who never do their jobs. I have another friend right now that lost her son about a year after my daughter, a couple years ago, and they still have not arrested the people that killed him. But here's what I got back from the hospital. Her sneakers, which look like they have droplets of blood on them. Y'all, I would love to have the money to do a test on my daughter's sneakers. I would have done it a long time ago. They never did no autopsy on her. I kept her in the morgue on ice for, I know, a good couple of weeks trying to get an autopsy. Now, the people that was there originally said that there was no one there when she died. She was supposedly in the yard alone. That's automatic autopsy. Anything suspicious is automatic autopsy. They neglected to even do that. So the only thing I got of hers that I got back was her sneakers, which I have in my storage unit in a bag that I know has droplets of blood on it, whether it's hers, theirs, or whoever. And then there's more to this story besides that. And this knife, which unfortunately was not a switchblade. I wish it had been. She could still be alive if this had been a switchblade. If she could have just hit a button, maybe she would have lived. Who knows? But this was found next to her body, unopened. So while she did have a long history of drugs, mainly pills, pain pills, although I had been told she'd done heroin in the past, cocaine, other drugs. In this instance, drugs I don't believe is what killed her. So, anyway, she died the 9th of April. My youngest daughter's birthday is on April the 5th. I wish as soon as she went in there, I had to shift her out to a brain injury clinic. I don't know if that would have done any good or not, but she was on life support. And, they said that there was no saving her. She didn't want to live to be a vegetable. She had told me that many of times. But anyway, I'm going to leave it here for right now. But there is more to that story, where the detectives did not do their jobs. I believe even the hospital, EMS, all covered things up. So really, I don't know what killed her, because at the hospital in her urine test, they found a minute, small trace of cocaine. And that was it. That was all that was in her system, according to the urine test. They didn't do no blood work, no autopsy, no nothing. I feel like it was a miscarriage of justice. And I'm not the only one in that county that has lost children that are still suffering and have no clue as to what killed them, other than what they have heard or have been told. Okay, I'm going to leave it here for now. Y'all have a good night. God bless. And for any of you that have lost children out there, I'm really, really sorry for your loss. It is the hardest thing to ever deal with in your life. I thought my mother was the hardest, but it wasn't. All right, take care. Good night, y'all. And I will continue with the stories of my abuse by my ex-husband, the stories about DSS and how I was done there, as well as pieces of the case, or what wasn't the case. And I will tell you why that happened too. Why I feel like it was not investigated. Several deaths in this county that are murder deaths have been swept under the rug as drug related, because there's a little bit of something in their system. That's not always the case though. All right, take care. Good night.